Tonight, I'm going to share something that has transformed thousands of lives, including my own. It's a practice so simple, yet so profound, that when I first discovered it in the works of Dr. Joseph Murphy, I couldn't believe its power until I experienced the results firsthand. Every October, Dr. Murphy would perform one simple ritual before sleep, and every time he did, new streams of money would appear in ways he couldn't have planned or predicted. Has this ever happened to you, where synchronicity and opportunity suddenly align in your favor? This wasn't random luck or coincidence. It was the deliberate application of what he called the law of assumption, magnified by the stillness of night when imagination rules supreme. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to attract wealth effortlessly while others struggle no matter how hard they work? What if I told you that the difference isn't in what they're doing, but in the frequency they're emanating? Think about it. When was the last time you felt truly abundant? Not when you received money, but when you genuinely felt wealthy in your being. That feeling, that vibration, is what will be. Tapping into tonight. You see, what most financial gurus won't tell you is that wealth isn't earned by time, but by tone. The tone of certainty, the tone of gratitude, the tone of already feeling supplied. Money doesn't respond to your effort, it responds to your energy. It doesn't hear your words, it feels your vibration. Stay with me until the end of this series, because what I'm about to share might completely revolutionize your relationship with money. I'll guide you into what Dr. Murphy called the wealth frequency, the living rhythm of abundance that responds to your emotional state rather than your hustle. What you're about to discover might surprise you. Money has its own language, and that language isn't action, it's feeling. When you learn to communicate with wealth in the only language it understands, you'll witness a transformation that seems almost magical, though it's actually based on immutable universal law. Imagine going to bed tonight feeling a particular way, and waking up tomorrow with opportunities flowing toward you instead of you chasing after them. Imagine your relationship with money shifting from one of anxiety to one of serene confidence. This isn't fantasy. It's the natural result of aligning with the wealth frequency. In these October nights, you'll discover how to dissolve debt, awaken flow, and draw to yourself opportunities without strain. Because what you seek isn't outside you. It's the echo of your own belief returning to you as form. If you'd like to continue this journey of abundance with me, hit the subscribe button now and join our growing community of conscious creators. I know what it feels like to struggle, to work harder each day and still feel the weight of not enough. I've been there, counting bills instead of blessings, chasing results instead of resting in creation. This journey toward abundance requires a fundamental mindset shift that most financial experts never mention. You see, we've been taught a hidden falsehood our entire lives, that prosperity is directly proportional to hours worked. But the true revelation is that wealth responds to tone, not time. It's not about the sweat of your brow, but the signal of your soul. Your energetic tone, that vibration of certainty, gratitude, and feeling supplied, is what the universe responds to with uncanny precision. Think of the wealthiest people you know. Have you noticed something about their demeanor? There's often a quiet assurance, an unshakable confidence that runs deeper than their bank account. This isn't the result of their wealth, it's the cause of it. They've mastered, whether consciously or unconsciously, the art of emanating the frequency of abundance. This transformative understanding flips everything we've been taught about financial success on its head. The decisions you make from a place of inner abundance carry a different signature than those made from desperation. And the universe, or reality, if you prefer, can detect the difference instantly. Here's the core truth that changed my life. Money doesn't come to the anxious, it comes to the assured. It moves toward the one who no longer chases it, because that one has entered the vibration of already having. The anxious mind repels what it most desires through the very frequency of its wanting. Behind the scenes of every financial breakthrough I've witnessed lies this same pattern. Someone stopped struggling against the current and instead aligned with the natural flow of abundance. Their external circumstances may not have changed immediately, but their internal landscape shifted dramatically. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring what actually happens in your nervous system when you shift from the frequency of lack to the frequency of abundance. This isn't just positive thinking. It's a neurological and energetic transformation that impacts every cell of your body and every aspect of your reality. The journey from financial anxiety to assurance isn't always easy, but it's the most important work you'll ever do. Because once you enter that vibration of having, you'll discover that everything you've been seeking begins seeking you. The impact of this single shift ripples through not just your bank account, but your relationships, health, and entire experience of life. If what I'm sharing resonates with your own experiences or intuition about the true nature of abundance, write in the comments, "I can feel this frequency shift." In this meditation, I'll guide you through the 3 stages of wealth embodiment that Dr. Murphy discovered through decades of spiritual research and personal experience. This framework isn't just another financial strategy. It's a blueprint for complete transformation of your relationship with abundance. The first stage is the command. This is where you declare your intention with authority, not as a wish or a hope, but as a divine decree. The universe responds not to begging, but to clear, unwavering instructions from your consciousness. When you speak with the tone of certainty, reality has no choice but to reorganize itself around that command. The second stage is the feeling. This is the alchemical moment where everything changes. Many spiritual teachers have touched on this, but few have articulated it with the precision of Dr. Murphy. The feeling isn't an emotion you chase after. It's a state of being you step into. It's the sensation of already having what you desire. This feeling state is the bridge between the invisible world of potential and the visible world of manifestation. The third and perhaps most overlooked stage is the rest. After the command has been given and the feeling has been embodied, comes the sacred pause, the Sabbath of creation. This is where you release all effort, all striving, all concern about how it will happen. The rest isn't passive. It's the most powerful position of trust in the inherent order of the universe. These 3 stages form the foundation for aligning your consciousness with abundance itself. They create a powerful triad that, when practiced consistently, begins to dissolve the old programming of lack and limitation that most of us absorbed during our formative years. The journey of consciousness harmonizing with abundance follows a predictable pattern, though the timing varies for each person. As you listen each October night, subtle shifts begin to occur beneath the surface of awareness. First comes peace, that beautiful cessation of financial anxiety. You'll notice yourself no longer reacting with stress when bills arrive or when unexpected expenses occur. Then confidence replaces doubt. You'll find yourself making decisions from a place of assurance rather than fear. You might notice opportunities you would have previously missed, because your awareness has expanded beyond the constricted vision of scarcity. Eventually, the ultimate revelation occurs. Your outer reality begins to mirror what your inner world has accepted as truth. The reflection principle is one of the most profound discoveries on this journey. Your external circumstances are always the delayed reflection of your internal state. When that internal state shifts fundamentally, the external must follow. It's cosmic law. If you're recognizing these stages in your own journey with wealth consciousness, type "I'm in stage 88" in the comments. Fill in with whichever stage resonates most with where you are right now. What I'm about to tell you may sound simple, but if you truly hear it, I mean hear it with your inner ear, everything about your financial world will begin to change. There's a profound distinction between hearing something with your physical ears and truly hearing it with the depths of your consciousness. This inner hearing is where the true revelation occurs. Most people listen to concepts about wealth and abundance, nod in agreement, and then continue living in exactly the same pattern of lack. The transformation only begins when the message bypasses the intellect and penetrates the subconscious mind. That's why this nightly October practice is so powerful. It speaks directly to your inner ear during that magical twilight state, between wakefulness and sleep, when the critical faculty of your mind relaxes its guard. When you truly hear with your inner ear, a radical shift in perception occurs. You no longer see money as something external to chase after. You recognize it as an expression of your own consciousness. This mindset evolution changes everything, from how you speak about finances to the decisions you make and the opportunities you notice around you. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by addressing a fundamental misconception about the nature of money itself. Most people believe that money is physical, that it's paper and metal, or numbers written in some distant ledger. But this material perspective keeps you trapped in limitation. The hidden truth is that money is not matter, it is motion, it is vibration, and it always responds to the sound you're making within yourself. Every thought you nurture, every emotion you feel, and every word you speak has a tone, and that tone sends out a call into the quantum field of all possibilities. Think of it this way: when you strike a tuning fork, it emits a particular frequency. Any other tuning fork calibrated to that same frequency will begin vibrating in response, even if it's across the room. This is not mysticism, it's physics. And your consciousness works in exactly the same way. You are constantly broadcasting a particular frequency around money, and the universe can only respond in kind. Subscribe to the channel if these wealth frequency principles resonated with you. There's so much more to explore together on this path to prosperity. The journey to financial freedom begins with becoming aware of the sound you're currently making. Are your thoughts about money characterized by worry, scarcity, and anxiety? Or are they infused with certainty, appreciation, and ease? The universe doesn't hear what you say about money. It hears what you mean. It listens to the steady hum beneath your words. This explains why two people can use identical affirmations with dramatically different results. One might say, "I am wealthy," while vibrating with fear, while the other says the same words but hums the song of abundance. The outer world mirrors not your statements, but your secret sound. The invisible music you play in consciousness every day. If you're beginning to sense the vibration you've been emitting around money, share in the comments, "I'm changing my money frequency." When I first discovered this truth about vibration, it was both humbling and liberating. I realized that I had been speaking wealth with my lips, but whispering poverty in my heart. I would affirm abundance in the morning, then doubt by noon. And because my tone wavered, so did my results. The universe was simply reflecting back to me the conflicting signals I was sending. This revelation brings us to a profound insight about consciousness itself. Every single one of us is playing invisible music throughout our day, a symphony of thoughts, emotions, and expectations that broadcasts continuously into the field of infinite possibilities. This music isn't heard with physical ears, but its impact on our reality is undeniable. The fascinating paradox is that most people aren't even aware of the melody, and they're playing. They speak about financial goals and dreams while their subconscious mind plays a contradictory tune of unworthiness, impossibility, or fear. It's like trying to tune a radio to two different stations simultaneously. You'll only ever hear static. Your financial breakthrough begins the moment you recognize this dissonance within yourself. The awakening starts when you catch yourself saying, "I want abundance," while feeling the constriction of lack. This awareness is the first step toward authentic transformation, not just changing your words, but aligning your entire energetic signature. Dr. Murphy discovered through his decades of research that your invisible music affects everything around you, not just your finances, but your relationships, health, and entire life experience. Every conversation, every meeting, every so-called coincidence begins to harmonize with the dominant frequency you're emitting. The profound discovery that changed my journey is that money responds not to effort, but to energy. This explains why some people work tirelessly their entire lives, yet struggle financially, while others seem to manifest resources with remarkable ease. The difference isn't in hours worked or strategies employed. It's in the music they're playing beneath the surface of awareness. Think about someone you know who seems to have a magical relationship with money. Notice how differently they speak about finances compared to someone who constantly struggles. It's not just their words, it's their tone, their ease, their underlying assumption about how the world works. They've mastered, often unconsciously, the art of playing wealth music. Your journey toward financial freedom isn't about learning new techniques or strategies. Those are secondary. It's about becoming conscious of your current melody and deliberately tuning it to the frequency of abundance. When you can maintain that vibration consistently, even in the face of contrary appearances, you'll witness what appears to be miraculous shifts in your external reality. If you're beginning to recognize the invisible music you've been playing around money, type, "I hear my melody," in the comments below. Here's something most people completely miss about wealth creation. Wealth is not pursued, it is permitted. You don't chase it, you tune to it. This revelation completely transforms your approach to financial abundance. Most of us have been conditioned to believe that prosperity requires endless striving, planning, and pushing. But the universe operates by harmony, not by force. Think of it like this. A musician does not demand that the entire orchestra adjust to his single instrument. Instead, he carefully tunes his instrument to match the orchestra. When you tune your imagination to the frequency of wealth, the entire symphony of life begins to harmonize with you. Every conversation, every opportunity, every seemingly random encounter begins to play in your favor. And here's the beautiful part. Tuning doesn't require work, it requires awareness. Take a moment now and listen inwardly to your own dialogue around money. What's the sound of your inner conversation? This is where the breakthrough begins. There are essentially two distinct frequencies you might detect. The first is the sound of wanting. It's hurried, anxious, and restless. It's characterized by phrases like, "I need more," "There's never enough," or "Someday when I have money." This frequency creates a sense of separation between you and abundance. The wanting vibration actually pushes away the very thing you desire because it reinforces the belief that you don't already have it. The second frequency is the sound of having. It's slow, peaceful, and contented. It's the feeling of already being supplied. When you embody this state, your thoughts sound more like, "I am grateful for all that flows to me," or "It's wonderful to live in an abundant universe." There's no grasping or desperate energy, just a calm certainty. Life always amplifies whichever sound you consistently hold. This is the hidden mechanism behind what some call the law of attraction. It's not some mystical force, it's the natural consequence of energetic resonance. Whatever you vibrate, you attract. Whatever frequency you maintain, the universe must mirror back to you in physical form. I witnessed this principle transform one of my clients who had struggled financially for decades. Despite working multiple jobs, she could never seem to get ahead. During our sessions, I discovered that beneath her ambitious goals and positive affirmations lay a deep-seated belief that life was fundamentally a struggle. Her inner melody was playing in the key of scarcity, even while her words sang of abundance. The pivotal moment in her journey came when she finally recognized this dissonance. Rather than continuing to chase external solutions, she devoted herself to shifting her internal frequency. She practiced feeling wealth before she saw any evidence of it. Within 3 months, opportunities she couldn't have planned for began appearing in her experience: a perfect job offer, an unexpected inheritance, creative ideas that led to passive income streams. If you're ready to shift from the frequency of wanting to the frequency of having, type "I choose abundance" now in the comments below. Let me share with you a remarkable story from Dr. Murphy's practice that illustrates this principle perfectly. There was a man who once came to one of his lectures completely frustrated. Despite working day and night, every payday, his money seemed to vanish faster than he earned it. He approached Dr. Murphy after the talk and said, "I'm doing everything right. I'm visualizing, I'm affirming, but nothing changes." Dr. Murphy asked him a revealing question. "When you affirm, what do you feel?" The man hesitated, then admitted, "I feel desperate. I feel like I'm lying to myself." With that simple confession, the root of his struggle became crystal clear. Dr. Murphy smiled and replied, "That's exactly what you're creating, more reasons to feel desperate." This revelation shows the dramatic difference between intellectual understanding and embodied knowing. The man had the right techniques, but the wrong frequency. His conscious mind was saying the words of wealth, but his emotional body was broadcasting the signal of lack. And life, being the perfect mirror, could only reflect back that desperation. Dr. Murphy gave him a practice so simple that it bypassed his analytical mind entirely. Instead of forcing himself to believe affirmations that felt untrue, he was asked to imagine the sound of his bank account balance increasing each night before sleep. Not the number, but the sound, the quiet sigh of relief, the gentle laughter of security, the rhythm of calm breathing that follows knowing it is done. The transformation that followed was nothing short of extraordinary. Within just 2 weeks, the man wrote to Dr. Murphy with news that a long-lost client had suddenly paid a forgotten invoice, and his boss offered an unexpected promotion. Nothing he forced, nothing he planned. It came by tone, not toil. His vibration changed, and the world answered its new sound. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by revealing the remarkable simplicity of the nighttime practice that creates this profound shift. Many spiritual teachings make manifestation seem complex or require elaborate rituals, but Dr. Murphy discovered that the most powerful transformations often come from the simplest practices. The nighttime wealth practice doesn't require you to visualize stacks of money or chant complex affirmations. You don't need to make vision boards or write detailed plans. The practice is elegantly simple. Close your eyes and ask yourself, if I already had everything I needed, what would the silence within me sound like? Would it hum with peace? Would it breathe in gratitude? Would it laugh softly at the ease of it all? That feeling, that particular quality of inner silence is your wealth frequency. And once you feel it, you'll begin to recognize it everywhere. You'll hear it in the stillness between breaths. You'll feel it in the pause before you speak. That's the vibration of possession, not wanting but having. The power of this approach lies in its direct access to your subconscious mind. Your logical mind might argue with concepts, but your emotional body responds immediately to felt experience. When you embody the feeling of wealth, you send a clear signal that bypasses all the mental noise and reaches directly into the creative substance of the universe. If you're feeling a shift in your understanding about wealth creation, share in the comments, vibration before manifestation. The moment you align with this frequency, money begins to move toward you, not as a favor, but as a natural law. Because money, my friend, is not responding to your work. It's responding to your worth. And worth is simply the recognition of I already am. This is a paradigm shift that completely transforms how we approach prosperity. Our society has conditioned us to believe that wealth is earned through exhaustive effort, clever strategies, and relentless hustle. But the hidden truth that Dr. Murphy discovered turns this narrative on its head. What if the universe isn't waiting for you to work harder, but to recognize your inherent value? Think about it this way. The wealthiest people in history didn't necessarily work more hours than everyone else. They simply held a different belief about their relationship with abundance. They operated from an inner knowing that recognized their worth as intrinsic rather than earned. This subtle but profound difference creates an entirely different energetic blueprint. When you wake up in the morning, notice the first questions your mind asks. Most people immediately wonder, how will I make money today? Or, where will it come from? These questions create an instant vibration of separation. They reinforce the belief that abundance is outside of you, something to be chased and captured through effort. The transformational approach is to maintain that same quiet sound of completion you cultivated the night before. Rather than awakening to anxiety about provision, you awaken to the certainty of, it is done. This isn't denial or wishful thinking. It's aligning with a deeper reality where all possibilities already exist in completed form. Behind every great financial breakthrough is this fundamental revelation. You don't earn abundance through labor. You align with it through consciousness. Your worth isn't something you build over time. It's your original state of being that you've temporarily forgotten. The October practice is simply a journey of remembering who you truly are. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring the practical application of these principles. The first secret of the October practice is not to speak louder or try harder, but to find and hold the sound of having. This is far simpler than most spiritual teachings would have you believe, yet it requires a certain quality of attention that few have developed. Finding the sound of having is like tuning into a radio station that's always broadcasting. It's not something you create, it's something you discover. It's already there, playing beneath the noise of your everyday thoughts. When you close your eyes and feel into the sensation of completion, you're not fabricating something new. You're tuning into your natural state. Holding this frequency is where the real mastery lies. The world will constantly invite you back into the vibration of wanting, seeking, and striving. News headlines, conversations with friends, and social media will all attempt to pull you back into the collective trance of scarcity. Your ability to maintain the sound of having amidst these contrary influences is what determines how quickly your outer circumstances will shift. Once you've truly heard this frequency, you'll never again confuse effort with creation. You'll recognize that manifesting wealth isn't about doing more. It's about being more aligned with your true nature as an abundant being. The doing flows naturally from that aligned state, but it's no longer driven by desperation or fear. If you're beginning to feel the distinction between creating through effort versus creating through frequency, type in the comments, I create from being, not doing. There comes a moment in every person's journey when they realize that no amount of striving, planning, or pushing can bring them what they seek. For wealth does not come through force, but through faith. And not the kind of faith that pleads or hopes, but the quiet knowing that it is already done. Faith, you see, is not a gesture of belief in something far away. It is the vibration of possession felt here and now. It's the invisible sound of completion that hums beneath the stillness of those who have remembered who they truly are. Most spiritual teachings have misrepresented faith as a kind of wishful thinking, a desperate belief that somehow, someday, things will improve. But Dr. Murphy discovered something far more profound. True faith is not reaching for something you don't have. It's the recognition of what you already possess in consciousness. It's not the servant begging at the master's door. It's the heir claiming their inheritance. This revelation transforms your entire relationship with manifestation. When I speak of faith, I'm not referring to blind trust in fate or waiting for divine intervention. I'm speaking of the deliberate adjustment of your inner frequency until what you once called unseen begins to appear with the inevitability of sunrise. It's the calm certainty that knows the oak tree is already present within the acorn. Behind the scenes of every great manifestation is this unwavering vibration of possession. Look at anyone who has created extraordinary results in any area of life. They all share this mysterious quality. Long before external evidence appeared, they lived from an inner knowing that transcended all contrary appearances. Their faith wasn't hope, it was certainty. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by revealing a profound mechanism that explains how your faith actually reshapes your reality. Every assumption you hold is a frequency. Whatever you accept as true in your imagination is transmitted through the substance of consciousness itself. This isn't metaphorical, it's the actual process by which your reality forms around you. The world around you must echo your dominant vibration until it becomes fact. This isn't luck, coincidence, or random chance. It's immutable cosmic law. Just as a radio can only receive the station it's tuned to, your consciousness can only experience what matches its frequency. Everything else remains invisible to you, even if it exists. In potential, when I began to understand this principle, I stopped working to change my outer circumstances and started changing my inner conviction. I realized that the outer world was nothing but a delayed reflection of the inner tone I was continually playing. So long as I felt doubt, life presented reasons to doubt. When I felt trust, doors opened without my knocking. Think of consciousness as a broadcasting station. Every thought, every emotion, every assumption is being transmitted into the field of infinite possibilities. The universe doesn't pick and choose which signals to respond to. It reflects all of them with perfect precision. This is why mixed signals create mixed results. When part of you believes while another part doubts, your reality will mirror that exact split. If this understanding of faith as vibration rather than hope resonates with you, type in the comments, "Faith is my frequency." Faith is not just a momentary surge of belief, it's the steadiness of your vibration even when everything around you suggests otherwise. Think of it like tuning a radio to your favorite station. When you found that perfect frequency, the music plays beautifully. But if the dial drifts even slightly, that clear sound begins to fade into static. The broadcast never stopped. You simply moved out of alignment with it. This is exactly how the wealth frequency works in your life. Abundance is always broadcasting. Prosperity is always calling. But you can only receive what your inner dial is set to. You may beg, you may worry, you may wait for miracles, but until your faith is tuned to the sound of already done, you will hear nothing but noise. The breakthrough occurs when you realize that the problem was never with the signal, it was with your receiver. The transformation happens when you stop treating faith as an emotional roller coaster and start cultivating it as a consistent tone. Most people's faith wavers with every external circumstance, up with good news, down with challenges. But this inconsistency creates a scattered broadcast that the universe cannot clearly respond to. The masters of manifestation maintain their inner frequency regardless of outer appearances. Let me share a remarkable story that illustrates this principle perfectly. Dr. Murphy once received a letter from a woman who was trying so hard to believe in abundance. But every time she affirmed her wealth, something unexpected would break. The car, the boiler, an appliance. She took these incidents as signs that her affirmations weren't working, which only deepened her frustration and doubt. Instead of giving her more affirmations or techniques, Dr. Murphy invited her to change just one thing, her definition of faith. "Don't try to believe," he said. "Simply feel what you would feel if you already had what you desire." This subtle shift made all the difference in her journey of consciousness. That night, she lay in bed imagining her bills paid, her home warm and comfortable, her hands resting easily on her heart. She didn't visualize money or numbers. She simply felt the peace of sufficiency flowing through her body. Within just 3 days, her employer announced an unplanned bonus for all staff, backdated several months earlier. She had not forced it. She had tuned to it. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by examining what actually happens in your nervous system during this shift. When you move from trying to believe into simply feeling the reality of your desire, your entire physiology changes. Your breathing deepens, your muscles relax, stress hormones decrease, and your brain waves shift from beta to alpha patterns. This physiological blueprint sends a powerful signal throughout your quantum field. The revelation here is that your body doesn't know the difference between an experience that's happening externally and one that's vividly imagined internally. When you generate the feeling of abundance with such clarity that your nervous system accepts it as real, you create a bridge between potential and manifestation. You're literally rewiring your neurobiology to become receptive to wealth. This insight completely transforms our understanding of manifestation. It's not about positive thinking or wishful hoping. It's about creating such a powerful internal environment of completion that your biology and electromagnetic field must broadcast that signal outward. When you understand faith in this way, worry loses its grip entirely. If you've ever experienced a moment where you felt absolute certainty about something before it physically manifested, share in the comments. I've felt the invisible becoming visible. Worry is nothing more than faith inverted. It's belief in lack and confidence in defeat. It's the shadow side of the same creative power that manifests your desires. Think about it. When you worry, you're using the exact same faculty of imagination that you use when you have faith. The only difference is the content and feeling tone of what you're imagining. This revelation completely transforms our understanding of anxiety around money. Worry isn't just an uncomfortable emotion. It's a powerful creative force moving in the wrong direction. It's faith in what you don't want rather than what you do want. And the universe, being perfectly neutral, responds to both signals with equal precision. The antidote to worry isn't more positive thinking or mental gymnastics. It's gratitude, the most powerful frequency, transformer available to human consciousness. Gratitude is faith expressed in its purest form. Every time you give thanks for something you haven't yet seen physically, you're proving that you already feel it as real. You're demonstrating to the universe that you trust the invisible order that governs all manifestation. When you stand in genuine gratitude for your financial abundance before you see a penny of it, you create a vibrational environment that must attract its physical equivalent. The universe has no choice but to mirror that conviction. Gratitude raises your signal the way sunlight lifts a flower's face. It amplifies your field until everything around you begins to rearrange itself to reflect your new certainty. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring the most counterintuitive aspect of faith, its fundamental quality of rest. Most people approach faith as something they need to generate, maintain, and hold on to tightly. They strain to believe, grasping desperately at positive thoughts while fighting against doubt. But this approach actually creates resistance that blocks the very thing they're trying to manifest. True faith isn't something you hold tightly. It's something you rest into. When the world tempts you to focus on numbers, facts, or so-called reality, the master of consciousness doesn't fight or argue. They simply return inward and listen once again for that tone of having we discussed earlier. The sound of peace is the frequency of faith. Do not strain for it. Allow it. Faith isn't a muscle to be flexed. It's a melody to be heard. It's not something you do. It's something you recognize. When you truly understand this distinction, you'll experience one of the great paradoxes of manifestation. The less you try to make things happen, the more naturally they unfold. Consider what happens in your body when you strain versus when you rest. When you're striving, your muscles tighten, your breathing becomes shallow, stress hormones flood your system. But in rest, your nervous system shifts to parasympathetic mode, your cells regenerate, your energy flows freely. This physiological blueprint is actually the key to understanding the manifestation process at the quantum level. If you've experienced that moment when you finally stopped struggling and simply surrendered into knowing, type in the comments, "Surrender is my strength." I remember once years ago when I had not a cent left. My pockets were empty, and the rent was due. This critical moment presented me with a profound choice. I could either panic and stress, or I could apply the very principles I'm sharing with you now. I chose the latter path. I sat quietly in my small room, closed my eyes, and said not a word. I simply began to feel the security of being provided for. I imagined walking to the letterbox and finding an envelope thick with notes. I didn't demand it or even visualize it clearly. I just felt the weight of it in my hand, the sense of relief, the warmth of gratitude spreading through me. Then I slept. The transformation that followed revealed the hidden mechanisms of manifestation. The next morning, a man I had not heard from in months came to return a debt I had long forgotten. In that moment, I knew that my faith had been the magnet, and his action was merely the motion of the law fulfilling its command. What's fascinating about this journey is that it illustrates a fundamental revelation that few ever grasp. The moment. When money stops being something you chase and becomes something that recognizes you. This turning point in consciousness is what separates those who struggle financially from those who live in a state of effortless abundance. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring the quantum physics behind this phenomenon. When you no longer doubt your belonging in abundance, you emit a completely different electromagnetic field. Your cellular structure literally reorganizes to become receptive to prosperity rather than resistant to it. Just as water molecules change their structure when exposed to different vibrations, your entire being realigns when you shift from pursuing to allowing. This isn't mystical thinking. It's the frontier where quantum science meets consciousness. Your thoughts and feelings generate measurable waves that interact with the field of all possibilities. When those waves align with abundance, abundance must respond, not as a favor, but as an immutable law. The breakthrough insight that changed my own financial reality was recognizing that wealth was never a future event waiting to happen. It was always a present state, waiting to be felt. The gap between you and abundance isn't in time or space. It's in awareness. You don't need to travel a great distance to reach prosperity. You simply need to awaken to the prosperity that's been surrounding you all along. This awakening is not intellectual, it's experiential. It happens when you make the courageous decision to feel wealthy before there's any evidence of wealth in your external reality. It's the moment when you stop asking, "When will I have enough?" and start recognizing, "I am enough, I have enough, I live in an abundant universe that constantly supports me. If you've experienced even a glimpse of this shift from chasing to recognizing, type in the comments, "I am the magnet, not the seeker." There is a treasury within you that no thief can touch, no law can tax, and no circumstance can ever deplete. It is the true bank of being, the silent vault of imagination, and every deposit you have ever made into it lives there still, waiting to be withdrawn into form. This inner bank is the most secure financial institution in existence, yet most people live their entire lives without ever making a single deliberate transaction with it. You may think your wealth lies in a paycheck, a client, a business, or the kindness of others. But that is illusion. All those things are merely channels, tributaries of the one great river that flows from your consciousness. The source is not in the outer world. The source is you. Until this truth becomes living reality, you will move through life like a beggar beside a hidden fortune, pleading for coins while seated on a chest of gold. This revelation completely transforms your relationship with money. Imagination is that chest. It is the spiritual bank from which all physical supply is drawn. Every time you assume a feeling, whether of plenty or of poverty, you deposit it there. Every emotion, every inner conversation, every picture held with conviction becomes a balance in your subconscious account. And the world is the faithful cashier that pays out whatever you have stored up. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring the neurological blueprint this creates in your brain. When you make a deposit of abundance in your inner bank, you're literally creating new neural pathways. You're establishing what neuroscientists call attractor patterns that begin filtering your perceptions to notice opportunities and resources that were always there but previously invisible to you. The hidden truth behind all manifestation is that what we call reality is actually a projection of our most dominant thought patterns and emotional states. We don't see the world as it is. We see it as we are. And when we change what we are at the level of consciousness, the world we perceive must change accordingly. I discovered this law during a time when I believed myself to be at the edge of financial ruin. My outer life was crumbling, obligations pressing, work uncertain, the future dim. One evening, as I sat in the quiet, something within me whispered, "You have been trying to live from withdrawals without ever making deposits." I understood then that I had been demanding from life what I had never credited to my own imagination. That night, I began a transformational practice. I sat still and pretended that I had a great account somewhere, not in any bank of the world, but in the vault of my inner being. I imagined myself writing checks from it, giving freely, blessing others, feeling the joy of limitless supply. I heard myself saying, "Thank you, Father, for the immeasurable wealth of your love made visible now." The journey that followed completely upended my understanding of prosperity. The next morning, my state felt lighter, freer. Within days, new opportunities came. Old debts were resolved in unexpected ways, yet the greatest miracle was not the money itself, but the peace that replaced the hunger. I knew then that the supply was within me, and that as long as I kept my consciousness rich, my world would never be poor. If you're beginning to sense this treasure chest within yourself, type in the comments, "I've found my inner bank." Most people think of wealth as something to build, savings to gather, investments to grow, strategies to plan. But in truth, wealth is something to remember. You cannot build abundance. You can only remember that you are abundance. The outer actions that follow are but reflections of that inner remembrance. This revelation completely transforms your relationship with prosperity. I discovered this truth during one of the darkest financial chapters of my life. My outer circumstances were crumbling, bills mounting, opportunities dwindling, the future looking increasingly uncertain. Yet in that moment of crisis, a Profound insight emerged through an inner voice that whispered, "You have been trying to live from withdrawals without ever making deposits." That single revelation illuminated my entire relationship with prosperity. I understood that I had been demanding from life what I had never credited to my own imagination. I was attempting to manifest abundance while my inner accounts were overdrawn with doubt, fear, and scarcity thinking. The revelation wasn't just philosophical, it was practical. That night, I began a transformational practice. Instead of focusing on my empty bank account, I sat quietly and pretended I had a vast spiritual account, not in any worldly institution, but in the vault of my consciousness. I began writing mental checks from this account, feeling the joy of giving generously, experiencing the relief of all debts resolved, sensing the security of unlimited supply. Within days, my external reality began shifting. New opportunities emerged from unexpected sources. Old debts were resolved through surprising channels. People I hadn't heard from in years suddenly appeared with resources and connections. The synchronicities were remarkable, but the real miracle was the inner transformation, the peace that replaced anxiety, the confidence that displaced fear. Now I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring what happens at the level of identity when this shift occurs. The most profound breakthrough on your journey to financial freedom is recognizing that wealth was never something external to acquire. It was always an aspect of your true self to remember. Think about a child playing make-believe. They close their eyes and instantly become kings and queens. They dine in imaginary castles and hold invisible treasures in their tiny hands. For them, the imagined is more real than the physical seen, and because they don't doubt, they are supplied in that moment. They live in the magic of assumption, the same power that you once knew but forgot. As the world convinced you to be sensible, realistic, and fearful, your task now is to reclaim that childlike imagination. Not to escape reality, but to remember that imagination is reality, and the physical world is its delayed echo. When you truly grasp this principle, manifestation becomes less about creating something new and more about awakening to what has always been true. This understanding fundamentally shifts your identity. You move from seeing yourself as someone who needs to accumulate wealth to recognizing yourself as the source from which all abundance flows. This isn't just a mindset shift. It's a complete recalibration of your relationship with reality itself. If this idea of wealth as remembrance rather than acquisition resonates with you, share in the comments, "I am remembering my abundance." Have you ever watched a child at play? They possess a magnificent power that most adults have long forgotten. With eyes closed, they can instantly transform into royalty, explorers, or superheroes. They dine in magnificent castles, constructed purely of thought. They hold invisible treasures in their small hands that feel completely real to them. And in those magical moments of pure imagination, they experience genuine joy, excitement, and fulfillment. Emotions just as authentic as if their imaginary worlds were physically manifest. What happened to that extraordinary creative faculty we all possessed so naturally? The world happened. We were gradually conditioned to be sensible, realistic, and practical. We learned to doubt our imaginative powers and instead place our faith in what others called the real world. This societal programming didn't enhance our lives, it diminished our creative capacity and disconnected us from the very source of all manifestation. The journey to financial transformation requires reclaiming this childlike imagination, not as an escape from reality, but as a remembrance that imagination is the causal realm from which all physical experience springs. Your task isn't to develop some new skill, but to remember what you once knew instinctively before the world convinced you otherwise. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by sharing a practical application Dr. Murphy taught that brings this principle into your daily life. It's called the inner ledger exercise, and it's remarkably simple yet profoundly effective when practiced consistently. Each night before sleep, sit quietly and imagine opening a great golden ledger in your mind. This is the master account book of your consciousness. Across its pages, see only credits, blessings received, opportunities multiplying, gifts freely given and returned tenfold. Feel the relief, the expansion, the joy of that invisible wealth flooding your being. As you turn each page, notice how your body responds. Your shoulders relax, your breathing deepens, tensions dissolve. This physiological shift is actually rewiring your nervous system to become receptive to abundance rather than contracted in fear. Whisper to yourself, all accounts are in divine order. My supply is infinite and immediate. Don't strain to believe these words. Simply rest in their feeling. For imagination, when accepted as true, is the only currency the universe recognizes. One of my students made this exercise her evening ritual. Though she had little to her name financially, she would close her eyes each night and thank her inner account for its endless generosity. Within weeks, she received unexpected back pay from an old job. Soon after, a friend offered her a profitable partnership. None of it was coincidence. It was a withdrawal from the treasury she had finally remembered was hers. What's fascinating about this exercise is how it bypasses your critical, analytical mind and speaks directly to your subconscious. While your conscious mind might argue with affirmations, it has no defense against felt experience. The emotional signature of relief and gratitude creates an energetic blueprint that your reality must eventually match. If this inner ledger practice resonates with you, share in the comments. I'm balancing my divine accounts. To draw from this treasury, you must know the currency it accepts, and that currency is feeling. The more real your inner experience of wealth becomes, the faster the outer world must yield its reflection. This is the principle behind the ancient wisdom, to him that hath more shall be given. The one who feels rich, who acts from fullness, who gives without fear, proves that he already possesses, and the law rushes to confirm it. The one who feels lack, who hoards, who doubts, proves that he believes himself empty, and so remains so. Think of it this way. Your feelings create an electromagnetic signature that the universe reads with perfect precision. When you generate the feeling of abundance with such clarity and consistency that it becomes your dominant state, you create a vibrational blueprint that physical reality must eventually match. This isn't wishful thinking, it's the fundamental mechanism of manifestation. The transformation begins when you make a radical shift in how you measure your wealth. Most people are constantly counting coins, checking balances, and fixating on numbers. This approach actually reinforces the perception of limitation because it keeps your attention on what is rather than what could be. It anchors you to current circumstances instead of allowing you to expand into new possibilities. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring a paradigm shift that completely revolutionizes your relationship with abundance. Stop counting coins and start counting vibrations. Stop measuring your supply by what you see and start measuring by what you feel. This isn't denying reality. It's recognizing that your feelings precede and shape your reality. When your inner atmosphere hums with sufficiency, money must come. And it will come by ways so natural you'll call them coincidence. A forgotten client suddenly remembers you. An unexpected opportunity appears. A creative solution emerges that wasn't visible before. These aren't random events. They're the direct result of your vibrational alignment with abundance. The revolution in consciousness happens when you realize that your feelings aren't just reactions to your circumstances. They're the creative force shaping your circumstances. Most people believe They'll feel abundant when they have enough money. The truth is the reverse. They'll have enough money when they feel abundant first. Dr. Murphy discovered through decades of work with thousands of people that the individuals who most consistently manifested prosperity were those who maintained their inner feeling of wealth, regardless of external conditions. They refused to let bank statements, bills, or temporary setbacks dictate their emotional state. Instead, they deliberately cultivated the feeling of abundance until it became their default vibration. Behind the scenes of every financial breakthrough is this same pattern. Someone who decided to feel wealthy before there was any logical reason to do so. The journey to prosperity isn't about changing your outer world first. It's about changing your inner world and letting the outer follow. If you're beginning to sense the power of measuring by vibration rather than by numbers, type in the comments, "My feelings create my fortune." Here is a truth that may surprise you. The universe is a marketplace of feelings, and every transaction you make is measured not in money, but in emotion. The only currency that truly exists is the vibration of what you feel. And what you feel consistently becomes the rate of exchange by which the outer world pays you. This revelation transforms your entire understanding of prosperity. When you recognize that the universe is trading exclusively in emotional frequencies, you begin to pay much more attention to your inner state. Most people walk through life completely unaware that they're constantly broadcasting a signal that determines their financial reality. Think of your emotional state as a form of currency you're constantly spending. Every thought, every reaction, every mood is a transaction occurring in this invisible marketplace, and the law of equivalence ensures that whatever you put out must return to you in corresponding form. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring the concept of your emotional exchange rate. This is perhaps the most revolutionary insight in Dr. Murphy's entire body of work. Most people try desperately to change their income without ever changing their inner income, the emotional balance they carry from moment to moment. What you call luck or misfortune, gain or loss, is nothing more than the outer reflection of your inner spending. You are always trading vibrations, always buying experiences with the coin of your own emotion. If your pockets are filled with worry, the world must give you more to worry about. If your pockets overflow with gratitude, the world rushes to give you more reasons to be grateful. This explains why two people with identical skills, education, and opportunities can experience dramatically different financial results. The difference lies not in external factors, but in their emotional exchange rate. One person might consistently feel secure, appreciative, and expectant of good, while another constantly broadcasts anxiety, resentment, and doubt. The decision point that changes everything is recognizing that your emotions aren't just reactions to your circumstances. They're investments in your future reality. Every feeling is a seed planted in the field of infinite possibilities, and it will grow exactly what you planted, no more, no less. I've witnessed remarkable transformations in people who grasped this principle. One client who had struggled financially for decades made the courageous decision to monitor and deliberately choose her emotional state regardless of external conditions. She began investing in feelings of security, appreciation, and abundance, even while her bank account showed little change. Within months, opportunities began appearing that perfectly matched her new emotional investment portfolio. The hidden truth that most financial advisors never mention is that the universe has no favorites. It simply balances the books. When your internal ledger consistently shows emotional wealth, your external world must eventually reflect that same abundance. This isn't mystical thinking. It's the fundamental mechanism behind all manifestation. If you're beginning to see how your emotional investments shape your financial reality, type in the comments, "I'm upgrading my exchange rate." Have you noticed how some people seem to magnetize prosperity with no visible effort, while others toil endlessly only to remain where they started? The difference lies not in skill, luck, or intelligence, but in their emotional wealth. Prosperous people live in a continuous hum of ease, certainty, and expectation. Their inner state tells life, "I can afford to feel good now," and life mirrors that feeling in ever-expanding form. This is where most people make a critical error in their manifestation journey. The struggling constantly postpone their good feelings until some external condition changes. They think, when I have enough money, then I'll feel secure. When my debts are paid, then I'll feel relief. When I get that promotion, then I'll celebrate. This approach actually creates a blueprint for perpetual waiting, because the universe can only reflect your current state, not your hoped-for future state. The decision point that transforms your financial reality is choosing to feel prosperous now, regardless of external conditions. This isn't denial or delusion. It's understanding the causal relationship between inner states and outer manifestations. The truly wealthy person isn't the one with the most assets, but the one who has mastered the art of feeling abundant, regardless of circumstances. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring a profound mechanism that explains how your feelings actually create your reality. If feelings are your currency, then attention is your mint. Whatever you focus on, you print more of. Focus on fear, and you flood your world with counterfeit bills, images of lack that have no backing in truth. Focus on peace, and you flood your world with gold, each coin stamped with the divine seal of I am. This revelation transforms your entire approach to manifesting prosperity. Imagination is the divine mint where invisible wealth takes shape, where every thought is pressed into the coin of experience and stamped with the seal of conviction. You do not earn through labor what imagination can produce in a moment of acceptance. Think of imagination as the divine mint and feeling, as the heat that fuses the design into metal. Without the heat, the press cannot stamp. Without the feeling, the image cannot last. So when you imagine wealth, do not merely see it, feel it. Let your entire body participate in the dream. Feel the weight of abundance in your hands, the texture of security, the sound of freedom that comes with true prosperity. I learned this principle through direct experience during a period when my finances were at their lowest point. Rather than continuing to focus on lack, I began a daily practice of directing my attention exclusively toward feelings of abundance. I would close my eyes and imagine my inner prosperity so vividly that my body responded with genuine gratitude and relief. The transformation that followed wasn't just in my circumstances, it was in my entire relationship with wealth. The journey of consciousness is always from the invisible to the visible, from thought to thing, from feeling to form. The master of manifestation doesn't waste energy trying to manipulate external conditions. They focus instead on perfecting their inner state, knowing that the outer must eventually conform to the inner blueprint. If you're beginning to feel this shift from external seeking to internal creation, type in the comments, "I am the mint of my wealth." The symphony of wealth plays in a remarkably simple rhythm, composed of just 4 essential notes that create infinite variations of abundance. These 4 pillars of creation sustain prosperity consciousness and form the foundation of everything Dr. Murphy discovered about manifestation. I am, I have, I thank, I rest. When these 4 elements work in harmony, wealth flows without resistance. I am is the first and most powerful pillar, the divine declaration that awakens your creative power. Every time you say I am, you're not merely describing yourself. You're issuing a creative command to the universe. Most people unconsciously use this power against themselves with phrases like I am struggling or I am broke. Each such statement becomes a blueprint that reality must follow. The second pillar, I have, embodies the consciousness of possession. It's the recognition that abundance isn't something distant, but something already yours in essence. When you declare I have from a place of knowing rather than wanting, you activate the law of assumption that bridges the gap between potential and manifestation. I thank forms the third pillar, the transformative power of gratitude. Thanksgiving isn't just politeness, it's a creative force that multiplies whatever you appreciate. When you give thanks for what you have not yet seen physically, you're proving that you already feel it as real, and the universe must mirror that conviction. The fourth pillar, I rest, is perhaps the most misunderstood aspect of creation. Rest isn't inactivity. It's the sacred pause that allows manifestation to unfold without interference. It's the confident withdrawal of effort based on the certainty that the law is already in motion. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring how imagination functions as the divine mint of consciousness. Imagination isn't fantasy or wishful thinking. It's the sacred workshop where invisible wealth takes shape, where thoughts become the coin of experience and dreams become your daily bread. The outer world may dismiss imagination as impractical, but it's actually the most practical power you possess. It's the workshop of God within you. Everything you see, touch, and use was once a shadow in someone's mind. The chair beneath you, the device you're watching this on, the very words you're hearing, all were first conceived in someone's imagination before manifesting in physical form. The unseen conceived it, and then time merely revealed what was already real in consciousness. And so it is with wealth, with health, with love, with every good thing. To imagine is to create, and to feel. Your imagination as true is to make creation inevitable. This revelation completely revolutionizes your approach to manifestation. You don't earn through labor what imagination can produce in a moment of acceptance. The struggle and strain that most people associate with achievement is actually unnecessary when you understand the true creative process. Dr. Murphy discovered that a single moment of clear, emotionally charged imagination could accomplish more than years of physical effort. When you imagine wealth with feeling, you're not engaging in wishful thinking. You're activating the divine machinery of creation. You're pressing an image into the substance of the universe, like gold pressed into a coin. And that impression, when infused with feeling, must eventually appear in physical form. If you're beginning to recognize the creative power of your imagination, type in the comments, "My imagination mints my reality." Every idea that enters your mind is not random. It's an invitation from the divine treasury. This revelation transforms your entire approach to creation. Most of us have been taught that manifesting is about making something new, building something that didn't exist before. But Dr. Murphy discovered something far more profound. Creation is not making, it's remembering. Think about that for a moment. You're not trying to construct abundance from scratch. You're simply remembering the infinite wealth that has always been your birthright. This understanding completely shifts your relationship with manifestation from effort to recognition, from striving to allowing. Imagination is infinite, eternal, inexhaustible. It is the womb of all possibilities. You can no more exhaust it than you can exhaust the ocean by taking a cup of water. When you truly grasp this principle, scarcity thinking dissolves completely. How could you ever lack when the source of all creation flows through you in every moment? The journey to financial freedom isn't about acquiring something outside yourself. It's about awakening to the treasure that already exists within your consciousness. This perspective immediately eliminates the desperation that blocks so many people's manifestations. When you know that abundance is your natural state, you stop clutching and grasping at every opportunity. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring what Dr. Murphy discovered about the final and most sacred part of the creative process: rest. There is a reason the ancients called sleep a little death, for in that sacred descent into stillness, the mind is stripped of its outer armor. The senses withdraw from the noise of the day, and you return to the invisible realm from which all things are born. It is there, in that twilight between waking and sleep, that imagination rules as absolute sovereign, unchallenged by reason, undisturbed by doubt. Whatever picture you impress upon your mind in that state is planted deep in the fertile soil of the subconscious, and by law it must sprout into form. This insight completely transforms your nighttime routine. Most people don't realize that there is no more powerful moment in your entire day than the one just before sleep. That is the doorway between worlds, the passage from the seen to the unseen. And what you carry across that threshold determines what you awaken to tomorrow. The tragedy is that most people squander this creative power. They go to bed rehearsing the failures of the day, counting what they lack, fretting about tomorrow's debts, replaying scenes of irritation and fear. They carry worry into that holy temple of rest, and then wonder why their mornings are heavy and their circumstances unchanged. But you, if you would be wise, must reverse this pattern. You must enter that twilight state with reverence, carrying only the fragrance of fulfillment. You must fall asleep, not as one waiting for supply, but as one who already has it, as one who rests after creation is complete. For it is written, "And God saw that it was good, and he rested." Rest is not the end of creation. It is the evidence of its completion. If you've begun to recognize the sacred power of that moment before sleep, share in the comments, "I create as I rest." As we come to the close of our time together tonight, I want to thank you for joining me on this journey into the wealth frequency. What Dr. Murphy discovered through decades of study wasn't just another financial strategy. It was a profound revelation about the relationship between consciousness and creation. And now this wisdom has become part of your journey too. If this message found its way to you today, it wasn't by accident. There's a part of your consciousness that was ready to remember this truth, that wealth isn't something you chase, but something you tune to, that abundance isn't earned through effort, but claimed through alignment. The October practice we've explored together has transformed countless lives, including my own. Each night as you drift into that sacred space between waking and sleeping, remember to feel the peace of already having what you desire. That feeling is the currency heaven recognizes, and it's the frequency that will transform your relationship with money forever. If you'd like to continue this journey with me, consider becoming part of our community by subscribing to this channel. Each week, we explore different aspects of consciousness and manifestation, all designed to help you awaken to the incredible power that's been within you all along. I'd love to know that you've received this message in its fullness. If something within you has shifted today, if you feel a new possibility awakening, simply comment below, "I've found my frequency." Your voice adds to the collective field of transformation we're creating together. If you found value in today's exploration, a simple like helps others discover this message too. It's a small gesture that creates ripples of awareness far beyond what we can see. Right here beside this video, you'll find another journey waiting for you, a natural continuation of what we've begun today. It explores the practical application of these principles in daily decision-making. Click and join me there as we go even deeper into the art of conscious creation. Remember, you don't need to chase prosperity, you only need to tune to it. And that tuning begins tonight as you close your eyes and feel the wealth that has always been yours. The universe is waiting to echo your new song.